Pokémon Origins.
Hello Kanto University and welcome back to another episode of Pokémon Origins with me, the One Integral. Today we're looking at the Charmander line, obviously again a remake, so we're looking at Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard and Charizard's 2 Mega Evolutions. So starting off we have Charmander. Its Japanese name is Hitokage, it is the lizard Pokemon and it's number 4 in the National Dex. It's a pure Fire type, being obviously the Fire type starter Pokemon for the Kanto region. Charmander is 0.6 meters or 2 foot tall and weighs 8.5 kilograms or 18.7 pounds. See, Charmander is a small orange lizard with a pale cream chest. It has claws on its feet, not its hands, and a small flame on its tail. It has sort of cyan blue coloured eyes with small teeth just jutting out from its upper and lower jaws. Charmander is primarily based on reptiles, but is also partially inspired by the mythical salamander, which, unlike the real life salamanders we have, was a fire spirit capable of surviving extreme heats, and was also to be interpreted to be in the shape of a lizard, which you can obviously see Charmander is sort of in that sort of shape. If you imagine Charmander sort of lying, all 4 paws on the ground, looks a bit like a normal lizard you'd see, sort of. Its hidden ability Solar Power may have also been inspired by the spotted salamander, which is actually a creature that does photosynthesis, and which also links to Solar Power, the ability, because that allows Charmander to get a boost in its special attack with a sacrificial of some of its health points in Sun. If we want to look at some extra details of Charmander now, we can see it has no gender differences between male and female forms, so there's really nothing to look at there, and Charmander's shiny form has a golden body with a slightly lighter goldish coloured chest. Its flame stays pretty much the same colour as well as its eyes, so there's not much else to say there. Its Pokédex entries tell us that the flame on its tail indicates Charmander's life force, and that if this flame goes out, Charmander's life will end, which is not very nice to think about at all. Looking at the names now, Charmander's Japanese name, Hitokage, is a combination of Hi meaning fire and Tokage meaning lizard, so fire lizard. Its English name Charmander is a combination of char, which means to burn, and salamander, so again, building on the fire and the lizard sort of reptile sort of thing, so that's pretty much that. Now last episode some of you said I should leave the sprites on for a bit longer, so what I'm doing from now on is I'm going to place the music in the background while the sprites fade through the generations, so I hope you guys like that idea. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so now you've hopefully got enough of the sprites throughout the generations and also the models, we can now look at Charmander's size. Now Charmander stands at 0.6 meters or 2 foot tall, which puts about a third of my height exactly, and then about just, a third, 2/5 of Ash's height as well. So it's not a huge Pokemon, but it's exactly the same right size you'd expect Charmander to be. If we then move on to look at Charmeleon, Charmander's evolution, its Japanese name is Lizardo. It is a flame Pokemon and it's number 5 in the National Pokédex. It's again a pure fire type and stands at 1.1 meter tall or 3 foot 7 inches and weighs 19 kilograms or 41.9 pounds. Charmander evolves into Charmeleon starting at level 16. Now Charmeleon, as opposed to Charmander, is a medium-sized red lizard, whereas Charmander was an orangey colour, Charmeleon's getting much redder, as you can see. It also has a cream coloured belly and undertail, as you can see the lower half of its tail actually is cream as well. Charmander had this as well, but it wasn't as noticeable. It has sharp claws on its hands and its feet now, whereas Charmander just had them on its feet, so it's obviously getting a bit more attacking, I guess. And also has a horn-like protrusion on the back of its head, sort of just sticks out there. There's no real purpose for it, but obviously when we look at Charizard later, it'll build on that a bit more. And it also has a medium to large flame on its tail, obviously building on from what Charmander had on its tail too. So much like Charmander, Charmeleon is based mainly on a lizard or a reptile and also resembles a small dinosaur. However, unlike its name suggests, it's not related to a chameleon much or at all. The only similarities they share is the use of the tail and generic stuff like that. There's not really many similarities between them, so it's not a huge basis for the naming. Well, it is for the naming, but not for design or anything like that. If we take a look at some extra details for Charmeleon, we can see that it has no gender differences, much like Charmander, and similar to Charmander 2, it has a golden body in its shiny form, and also again a lighter coloured chest, with its eyes and its tail flame staying the same colour. Pokédex entries tell us that it has a barbaric nature, and that it's also hot-headed, and it always seeks opponents, so Charmeleon is really not a Pokemon you want to run into, because it's always going to want to fight. Looking at the names quickly here, we can see the Japanese name Lizardo is a corruption of the katakana word for lizard, so basically it's just lizard, pretty much. The English name Charmeleon is a combination of char, which means to burn, and also chameleon, so basically a burning chameleon. But as we've already discussed, it's really not based off of chameleons at all, so that's that. Now that we've seen the sprites throughout the generations, we can look at Charmeleon's size when compared to all of me, Ash, and Charmander. We can see standing at 1.1 meter or 3 foot 7 inches, it's almost twice the height of Charmander, and it actually sizes up to Ash pretty well. Not fully height, about just over half the size of me as well. He's a fairly large Pokemon, but he's not huge. We'll see that a bit later on in the episode with Charizard. As I said, we're now going to look at Charizard. Its Japanese name is Lizardo. It is also the flame Pokemon and is number 6 in the National Dex, and is now a fire flying type. It stands at 1.7 meters or 5 foot 7 inches tall. This could be wingspan, but in my opinion I think it's actually height, because the height does not change between its mega forms, and Mega Charizard Y's wings clearly get much wider, so I think it's height here. Its weight is 90.5 kilograms or 119.5 pounds. Charmeleon will evolve into Charizard starting at level 36, same as all the other Kanto starter Pokemon. Charizard is a large, orange, dragon-like Pokemon that has a cream belly and undertail much like Charmeleon and Charmander. It has a deep blue-coloured wing, sort of colour thing, and has large claws on its hands and its feet. Its hands are they're obviously 3 claws there, 3 fingers, 3 claws, and they're very weird in my opinion. It also has sharp teeth and piercing eyes, and it looks very menacing in general, and it also has 2 horn-like protrusions on the back of its head, coming off of Charmeleon's wand. It also has a large flame on the end of its tail, obviously coming on from what Charmander and Charmeleon have had in the past, and will work pretty much the same way. Charizard resembles a dragon, and more specifically it's a European dragon. Now it doesn't look exactly the same as most European dragons you can see around, because most of them are on 4 feet, and Charizard is obviously on 2 feet, but it does look very similar still. It's sort of got the long neck, you can see sort of the same sort of head style, and the wings are very similar as well. Obviously there's loads of different variations of European dragons, but at least ones described in certain myths and legends, Charizard resembles quite well. There are no gender differences between Charizard, much like its pre-evolutions, and its shiny colour, unlike its pre-evolutions, is a black body. It's very weird. It goes from gold to black. This is why everyone loves a shiny Charizard. It's just black, and it's got red wings and a white cream coloured chest as well. It looks really quite cool. Pokédex entries tell us that Charizard can actually use its wings to fly to 4,600 feet, which is pretty high, and that its flame burns more intensely when it's breathing fire. That's the flame on the end of its tail. The Japanese name Lizardo is a combination of lizard and dragon, or lizard and don, don being the ancient Greek for tooth, so it could be related to the fact that it's got fairly large teeth in its mouth, or similar, or it could just be a combination of lizard and dragon. The English name Charizard is a combination of char and lizard, char again meaning to burn, so very similar to what Charmander's name was, except Charmander was char and salamander. So basically all 3 of them are char mixed with an animal, a salamander, a chameleon, and a lizard, pretty much. And now moving on to look at Charizard's size, we can see standing at 1.7 meters or 5 foot 7 inches. It's just a bit taller than Ash and just a bit shorter than me actually. One important thing to note is that in the anime, Ash's Charizard is not the same height as usual Charizards, and that Charizard's height actually just varies between all the different Charizards, which is just it's a size, it's an inconsistent size with the anime. So we'll go with what the game tells us. Screw the anime. So as many of you guys will know, Charizard has two Mega Evolutions, Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y. First up, we're going to look at Mega Charizard X. Its Japanese name is Mega Lizardo X, which is just predictable, and it's actually now a Fire Dragon type, which is a very interesting typing for it to have. It has the same sort of height as a normal Charizard, being 1.7 meters or 5 foot 7 inches, but gets a bit heavier at 110.5 kilograms or 243.6 pounds. Now Mega Charizard X turns black and blue when it Mega Evolves, and its wings get darker and more splayed. It goes from sort of a middle blue to a much darker blue. It also has blue fire that erupts from either side of its mouth, which we can assume is just constantly breathing, but sometimes it looks like it's just sort of a flame that's just coming out of its mouth. I'm not quite sure. It's also a good thing to note that the blue fire actually goes to his tail as well, so it just becomes all black and blue, which really looks quite cool in my opinion. It also now glides in the air rather than flies. As you'll see in battle, instead of flapping its wings, it will just sort of glide there, whereas, as we'll see in a second, Mega Charizard Y doesn't do that. As you can guess, the Mega Stone for Mega Charizard X is Charizardite X. The shiny version for Mega Charizard X actually has a green body and red wings and horns. The thing you can see here actually is, obviously, shiny Charizard is black, but Mega Charizard X is already black, so what would shiny Mega Charizard X be? It's a green colour. I don't know if I like this enough, but it's alright I suppose. It's a green-red mixed colour sort of thing, and it has, blue fire, it's the same fire, so there's no change there. Then I'm going to show you the models quickly for Mega Charizard X in Generation 6. Obviously it wasn't in any other previous generations, so this is all I've got for you guys, but there you are, you can see what it looks like in battle. If we now compare the size of Mega Charizard X to obviously Charizard and its pre-evolutions and me, you can see it's actually the same size, so I sort of, I try to make it as close to the same size as Charizard as possible, sort of kept the same dimensions for the head and such, so you can see how big it is. Obviously when it's flying it looks pretty damn cool and pretty damn large. You would not want this thing flying over your head because it could do some considerable damage if it decides to attack you. So, as you'll also know, Charizard has another Mega Evolution, and this one is Mega Charizard Y. Mega Stone for this obviously is Charizardite Y. Its Japanese name is Mega Lizardo Y, which is a bit obvious, and it retains its Fire Flying type in this form. It has the same height as normal Charizard and Charizard X, so not much to say there, and is slightly lighter than Charizard X, but still heavier than Charizard Y. Wait, not Charizard Y, normal Charizard, sorry, and it weighs 100.5 kilograms or 221.6 pounds. I can't speak today. So, when Charizard Mega evolves into Charizard Y, its wings grow larger and longer, and as I mentioned earlier, this is why I think the height here is actually Charizard's actual height rather than the wingspan. It has a large horn on its head, which is sort of accompanied either side by two smaller horns, which obviously grow from Charizard's normal horns. It also gains scythe-like additions to its hands. I don't exactly know what you'd call them, but I describe them as scythes. It's sort of what they look like. Scythes or mini wings on its hands and its wrists, and its tail also grows longer and is now spiked. You can see a nice long, big spike just at the base of its back, and then some more tiny spikes towards the end of its tail. The claws on its feet also get longer, and the ones on its hands sort of get more clumped together. And obviously Charizard Y is not a physical attacker, so obviously that's why it's not, pretty much. The shiny form for Mega Charizard Y is pretty much the same as the shiny form for a normal Charizard, a black body with red rings and sort of a slightly whiter underside. Then again, if we look at the quick little models from Generation 6 for Mega Charizard Y, you can see them there quickly, Mega Charizard X, Mega Charizard Y, and shiny Mega Charizard Y. Not much else to say. Finally for today, if we compare Mega Charizard Y's size to everyone else, we can see it actually looks bigger than Mega Charizard X, and that's because of its huge wingspan and the fact that it's generally it's bigger, whereas Mega Charizard X retains the same sort of size and stature. You can see there, Mega Charizard Y looks pretty huge actually, so I would definitely want to come against this, especially accompanied by the sun and a fire blast. Wow, just run guys, just run. So guys, that's it for this episode of Pokemon Origins. I've been the One Integral. Tune in next time where we'll be doing the origins of Squirtle, Wartortle, Blastoise and Mega Blastoise. Thanks for watching guys. Check out all the other awesome content on Kanto University, and you can also check out my channel, which will be linked in the description. Thanks guys, hope I can see you next time. Goodbye.